Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. It is the weekend, so I'll give you my Bitcoin update. 2000, that's pretty high. That's pretty high for Bitcoin. I'm surprised because the period from when it peaked at 1000 a couple years ago to where it ran up to 1000 this year and then exceeded to 2000 is a incredible run up. And then Ethereum as well, and I just got my phone here. But Ethereum as well, getting back or getting up to the hundreds, I should say. Um, man, I was not expecting such big moves up in these particular cryptocurrencies, but I'm pretty happy with it. And of course, people are going to speculate it's going up too far, too fast, but a lot of what's driving it is fear in the market. For instance, that uh, the Comey firing, which a few days ago I was talking about when the market came down. The very next day, or actually that same day, but the very next day as well, cryptocurrencies started jumping up, as well as when the market started trying coming back up again. Every time there's fear in the market, if you're people involved in the cryptocurrency space, or are not involved in or getting into it, whatever, it's only going to continue to prop it up. Whenever people are afraid of the stock market, the global stock market, the American stock market, whatever, they take the money out and put it elsewhere. That's why they put it into Bitcoin, because it's not backed by the U.S. stock market. It's its own entity. It's adopted by multiple countries. So if the American stock market fails, I can take my Bitcoin, and instead of exchanging it for U.S. dollars, I could exchange it for Japanese yen or the Chinese yuan or the euro or the pound, whatever. I'm able to move my assets around. Like, okay, well, this market failed here, so my Bitcoin I'm just going to take over there, and I can still have money. So there's always that availability of it. But the main thing I want to talk about in this video is the 300 plus billion-dollar deal with Saudi Arabia and America for weapons, of course. But goddamn, 350 or yeah, around 350 billion dollars. That is insane. That's more than half of what we spend annually on our defense, which means they're basically paying for us to ramp up defense spending. And then, of course, Trump gets an award, like top civilian award or something like that, from the King of Saudi Arabia, which just goes to show, like, your little gold medals and little pendants and awards, it's all just BS. But anyway, defending America stocks, or I'm sorry, defending America ETF in my stash app, or just defense stocks in general, of course, gonna see a big rise up from this. But I just can't believe that was just it's so much money. 300 over 300 billion. Jesus, that's crazy. But that's just going to be a huge benefit to defense, and that's the main reason why I got into it when Trump came in. Honestly, if Hillary would have won, I would have still invested in defense. She in her campaign rhetoric was way more hawkish on, like, the no-fly zone, getting out of the country, so on and so forth. But Trump was like, let's get the fuck out of there, which is actually, believe it or not, a reason why people voted for him. Because he wanted to be more like detached to what's going on in the Middle Eastern countries. He was like, why are we over there basically when stuff's going on here? And believe it or not, a lot of people relate to that. Like, I relate to that. That makes sense. Like, why are we starting wars in the Middle East, and we're saying, oh, they're attacking us, they have weapons of mass destruction, all that. We're the ones with the weapons of mass destruction. We're the ones in other countries fighting. It's like people just, like, they get so afraid and they buy into, like, that rhetoric. It's just silly. But I knew that dude wasn't going to be like that. So that's why, like, I still bought into those stocks early on, because I knew he was going to fall right into it. And sure enough, he did. I didn't think to this level, but fuck. And then I believe there was a second attack on Syria from the U.S. I could be wrong. I think the news is just breaking on it, or they were just talking about it. But they're continuing to be strong on Syria, strong. They're continuing to be strong on North Korea, and what that's doing is just building into the military propaganda. There's going to be like a clash, a war, whatever. People are going to be afraid, so they're going to put their money in defense. They're going to They're going to want to bolster the U.S. Army, which is already fucking huge. Already spend more than any other country. You know, China has like over 1 billion people, but they spend less than half on defense. You know, where we have 300 million, but we spend like more than double what they spend. You know, so it's crazy. You know, U.S. is the biggest seller of arms. You know, like weapons. So that's what we're known for, unfortunately. But that's why I invest in it, because the reality is that's where the money's at. So going forward, I just see this deal, this 300 billion, just continue prop it up, and you see like Trump's proposed budgetary bills and everything. Like all he wants to really spend money on is defense, police, some things with veterans, which is good, but veterans always get uh, used as like propaganda, like it's for the veterans, it's for the veterans, and then you actually follow the money to see what's going into these advertising and plan stuff like that. Like it has nothing to do with the veterans, or veterans get a very small amount, which is fucked up. You know, like dudes went to war, got shot at, killed, maimed, and they come back here and they get fucked over. It's just complete BS. I don't think we should be over in other countries fighting war in the first place, but for damn sure those dudes that did, when they come back, they should be taken care of. So that's my bias on it. But another topic, another question that I got, kind of going back to China, is a proposed deal with China for meat packaging or meat distribution. And what I look at that is, like I said, the United States has 300 million people. China has over 1 billion people. So if we're going to be exporting meat products to them, like in gigantic freezers, on freighters, on ships, whatever, we're potentially exporting to an economy of over 1 billion people. That's huge. That's huge. Trump huge right there. But that's an economic boom for basically the meat packing industry right there, or just poultry industry, however you want to say it. And I think that's a good investing opportunity, because that's just on sheer numbers. You just look at how many people are going to buy into that, how many people are going to go to the grocery store and buy meat, and how much of it is going to be coming from America now. So that could be a huge boom to farming. That could be a huge boom to meat processing. That could be a huge boom to agricultural. That could be a huge boom to like companies that sell like feed and stuff like that, to feed cows. To like fatten them up. Before they take them to slaughter. It could be a whole different avenue of investment opportunities for that. All of it pretty much centralized around meat, and like what goes into making meat. How is it done? It takes a lot of water, to clean and press and do everything with meat. It takes a lot of workers to like process the meat and everything. It takes machinery to have the cows go through and everything like that. It's a whole thing. That all you see at the end is a 1 pound slab of ground beef or meat or whatever at the grocery store, but from start to finish, there's a whole range of things that had to happen for that pound of meat to get there. So there's always that opportunity in that. And that, I think that's an interesting, like I said, that's an interesting trade agreement, because it has implications with another country of over 1 billion people, which is the main thing. That's the main selling point of it. I'm trying to basically get across. If you're thinking about trading meat with Canada, I'm not saying that's bad or anything like that, but like Canada doesn't have 1 billion people. It doesn't even have like, I don't think, 500 million people. So you just have to look at it from that perspective. It's a long-term goal for sure. Like they're not just going to immediately start selling meat and everyone's just buying it up. You know what I mean? It'd be unlikely anyway. But over time, if you wanted to invest in that, that'd be a good idea. And then another question I got, basically on NAFTA, which NAFTA is the North American Free Trade Agreement. So basically Canada, United States, and Mexico, just on the North American continent. Just those three countries. That's the agreement between them. And it's like a 20-year-old agreement, something like that. Like it's old, like it could be updated, obviously. But at the time, the two more affluent countries, which was Canada and the United States, was basically trying to help Mexico, and get them involved in a trade deal to make them more affluent, where they have more of a continental trade agreement, or continental trade agreement, just those three countries on that continent, and be more of a global economic powerhouse in that sense. But kind of what happened is basically the United States mainly, or at least from my perspective, and the Canada uses Mexico as cheap labor and doesn't really do any investing in that country other than build a factory, hire people for pennies on the dollar, export those products back into the United States and Canada, and Mexico doesn't really get shit for it. So Mexico definitely needs to renegotiate their deal for sure, because they're definitely getting the short end of the stick. Now, of course, you could argue that that's going to hurt Canada and the U.S., which it will. I mean, let's keep it real. We're going to have to pay more money. But like I said, if you're thinking on a global scale, a global economy, having Mexico more affluent, having more money, it could get them a better handle on the whole cartel problem and like the drug war, because that's something that's tearing apart the country. That's killing like standard job industry, but more importantly, bringing up their GDP, their economic value, their trade deals is going to make North America a strong trade partner in the world. North America, all three countries. Like, think of it that way. So it's not like I say all the time. We're in a global economy. Stop. Don't let your political views, influence your economic views. You know what I mean? Like I have my political views just like anyone else. That's like I watch certain political news that's catered to what I like. Like I do my best to watch both sides of it because I want the whole story as much as possible. But with economics, that's ones and zeros. I don't care what the politics are of it. I care the trade deals that they make. I care the rhetoric that's being said because that's going to influence those trade deals and how we trade those countries. But like at the end of the day, where's the money coming from? Where's it going? Who are the trade partners? What products are we moving across borders? Where's it getting made? Where's it getting sold to? All that stuff. That trumps politics. Politics is just a small part of it. News is a small part of it, but all of it is involved in what we're trading. What we're doing on a daily basis. So, and that's really kind of my understanding of NAFTA and like how I think it can be improved. Now, will we go forward and improve it so Mexico gets a better deal? Fucking doubt it. But that's really dependent on Mexico. They gotta do something for real. I mean, like they have their president, their Congress. They have to work it out. U.S. and Canada is always going to do what's best for their individual countries. They're not going to think on a global scale more like I'm talking about. They're going to think what's best for Canada, what's best for U.S., and then Mexico's going to think what's best for Mexico. But Mexico's got to really think what's best for Mexico because U.S. and Canada already have a huge head start in terms of like their affluence and trade and their GDP and everything. So they got to catch up. Now, I would love it if Mexico grew, like I said, then we'd be a continent of global economic power, and that would strengthen, North American trade all over the world. That's my opinion on it. But going forward, like I said, we'll see what happens. This Trump makes it difficult for us to trade with other countries. Unfortunately, he's too bombastic. He's too loud. He talks so much shit. He tweets all the time, and that's not good. Other countries look at us and they see all that. Like, it's not showing power. It's showing just ignorance, wanting to be in the spotlight. Real power is shown in the deals we strike with these countries. That's power. What do we get out of it? What does the world get out of it? What does the other country get out of it? You talk a big game, but at the end of the day, that deal defines you as the president. Like it's gonna same thing with Justin Trudeau. Like when he makes his deal for Canadians, that defines him. Like all the campaign rhetoric doesn't mean shit when it comes down to the ones and zeros. Like, are we profiting? Are we growing? Um, is our GDP high? Or is our economy growing at a certain percent? Things like that. So that's how presidents should be judged. That's how our economy should be judged. It shouldn't be on what we say necessarily, but what we do. So that's kind of the whole NAFTA thing there. So I was just going to cover those those questions. You know, I thought they were good questions, and I thought making a video about it would be better because sometimes doing it in the comments, you know, only one person might see it, or maybe a few people. But I get the same question sometimes. You know, it'll be asked multiple times. So I think having this view like this, having this video like this, is a little bit better. And as always, if you guys like my content, help me out, click like and subscribe. The channel's steadily growing. You know, I'm very happy with it. I'm glad you all support me. Um, and if you have any questions, as always, ask. And if it's something really good, like I'll try to start making videos like this about it, where it's more open forum. Or I'll do it on my phone, whatever. You know, I'll try to work something out. And then also, like I said, I've been including my crypto wallets in the link on some of these videos. So if you want to make a donation, you know, $1, whatever, I'm gonna have my Bitcoin wallet, my Ethereum, and my Litecoin. And if you've been holding Bitcoin and Ethereum right now, you've probably made some good money. So I mean, feel free to spread the wealth a little bit. But I'm gonna hopefully get like a camera set up. I'm gonna have a backdrop instead of just a plain wall. I want to add some things, you know. I want to do more editing. I'd like to do this more as a job, if anything, but that's down the road. Like I'd have to work at that. I still got to pay my bills, handle everything, go to work, trade part time, and then make these videos on top of that. So any little bit of help's much appreciated. But the most important thing I get from you all is that support and the subscription. So I do appreciate that. So let's continue to keep this thing going, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.